Welcome back to a very special live here on the Nullify Tech channel. I've got my friends Angelcake and Chantal Francis from RealityRealnesss with 3 S's. For those who don't know, you can see all of our channels at the bottom over there. So go and follow all 3 channels. Please support all of us. We're back to discuss the latest season of the Challenge World Championships, and it's a bonus content. It's a bonus live stream where we will be breaking down everything that has happened within the first 5 episodes. We'll be talking a little bit about our feelings of the season, if we're liking it or not. And guess what? I have not spoken to Chantal and Angelcake about this season at all. I don't know their takes. I don't think they know my takes. They may know my takes, but you know, I'm really excited to get into it. This is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit less structured. It's going to be a little bit more us engaging with you, the audience, the people who love the show as much as us, and bringing up comments and just talking about things in general. Angelcake, Chantal, Angelcake, how you doing? How you doing, Drew?
like me? Who do you want? Me? Do you want Angelcake?
I think
Drew,
you might
you
be
talk.
muted, Drew. I think you might be muted, Drew.
Drew, your mic.
I was jamming out to the beginning intro song because I haven't heard it. Well, I heard it last week. But I do want to say that I have a bone to pick with Chris here.
Oh, here we go.
Because
I'm going to get in trouble.
We were originally,
Chris put you up good?
originally supposed to do this last week. And
Yes.
I have a feeling that Chris knew what was going on in the fantasy game and wanted to wait one more week where I was in 3rd place and I was now in the bottom. So I get it. I see what you're doing. Mind games. I get it.
Yeah, I'm sort of channeling into the mastermind Wes for the draft, you know, and I'm trying to like maybe not hasn't been the best week for Wes. Chantal, how you doing?
I'm so pumped to be here. I've been doing some weekly power rankings with Angelcake over here, and it's been super fun. And a lot of people got really excited when they heard that the trio was going to be back together. So I'm really happy to chit chat, have a little chin wag, and hear about your thoughts of this season so far. And generally each week I try to stump Drew with a little game of some sort. So I put together something to stump you. Well, you both can participate together, but you just have not had to be tested before by me.
Okay. I feel like I might be in a bit of trouble. I don't know if I like these surprises being thrown on me last minute. But you know, we'll participate. One of the other things I wanted to say is that this will not be the only time that the trio will be together to talk about the challenge. We have decided that all 3 of our channels, it's only fair, all 3 of us will get one live stream with all 3 of us this season, and the next one will be on RealityRealnesss, which I think is going to be around episode 8, episode 9, around that vicinity, and then we'll do a final season review on the Angelcake Entertainment channel as well. So you guys will see us together at least twice more after this as well. But let's say hello to a few of the live people here as well. Lovable Nikki saying the gang is back together. Welcome to the stream, Lovable Nikki. We've got B4 Danny Cap saying my notifications worked this time. I'm here on time. So happy that because you missed out on the Peridium live that we did yesterday. A really fun live, by the way, for those who wanted to check out some Survivor content as well. Peridium is so awesome to talk to, and I actually told both Drew and Chantal before we went live, he's one of us. Like, I can just tell he's a cool dude. Even when the camera's not on, like, we spoke for an hour after that still and just nerding out about Survivor, which was so cool. Clip and Claws checking in. Hello. Margie, welcome back to the live as well. Sue, welcome back. Willie, so many famous names or familiar names. Joanne back in the live as well. And Deanna and Zuduman back as well. So quite a few people. So let's start off right at the beginning. Angelcake, I feel like going into this collaboration of different challenge seasons, you were the most doom and gloom about the potential of having these different franchises come together and do this thing. And I mean, for good reason. We know some of them were hit and miss. But how do you feel about the World Championship now that we're 5 episodes and seeing these new MVPs come into the game? What's your general feeling about the season so far?
I love it. For the most part, besides having so many cliffhangers, dagnabbit, but I do really enjoy the drama that is being kicked up by the MVPs, making the vets sweat, especially this past week's episode. And I want to see what the pressure is going to do with everybody moving forward, because this last week's episode really stirred up a lot of drama, and then we were left on a cliffhanger. and maybe for good reason. But to me, I just want to know the results now. And we could have been getting the cliffhanger of what everybody's thought is moving back to the challenge house and speculate what's going to happen there. But overall, I really enjoy the season. Even the people that I was questioning why they were here, like Grant, has been kind of really good in the gameplay and winning daily challenges, and it's just really good. It's far gone past my expectations of this.
I think it's always good, Chantal, coming into a season such as this with low expectations, being like, I don't know if it's going to work, if these worlds can collide and give us a great season, and then being pleasantly surprised in the process. But what's your thoughts about it so far?
Well, what I have to say, like, the engagement is way more from my perspective for this season. You know, definitely people love the challenge. Definitely people watch, you know, any videos that I put out, but the commenting and like the back and forth has been so much more than it has been in the past. And I think that has to do with the fact that these MVPs are not just allowing the vets to just run the show and let them do whatever they want. And as much as I love the vets, I love them. I've been watching them grow up. Like they're my people. I want to see them have these shakeups. I want to see them have an opponent. I want to see someone that's going to be like, hey, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to play my own game. And so it's really fun just seeing people not being afraid of like next season and the alliance for next season. And they're just willing to like, no, I'm playing right now. I want to put myself in the best position I think possible to win this game. And it's been really fun to watch. And I think the people, whether they like what's happening or not, they're still engaged.
Yeah. Zuderman here saying, I'm glad I went in having these low expectations. I'm thinking of certain players automatically aligning. A few people here saying that they hate the cliffhanger. The first cliffhanger wasn't bad. However, it is beginning to be annoying. I think Kahuna had a really interesting, Kahuna, my co-host for this season, he had a really interesting perspective on that. We saw a little bit Amber getting sick in this specific challenge. He said maybe there's a reason they have the cliffhanger, because if they have the elimination in the beginning of the episode and we do end up losing maybe Amber because we know she's pregnant in the next episode, maybe that's the reason they did it this way. But I do agree. It's like we're 5 episodes in and we've had 2 cliffhangers. It feels a little bit off. But before we get too much into that, I just wanted to give my general thoughts. I'm loving the season. I am living for this season because you guys know I'm a newer school fan. I respect the vets. I love the OGs. I've got my favorites. I mean, West being in trouble. My heart is beating really fast right now because he was my first pick in the draft for the season. But like Danny may just have become my favorite player this season. And
you mean my first draft pick? Woo,
yeah, what a pick, what a player. Like for him to stand his ground under the immense pressure that all of these vets were putting on him, I just take my hat off to him. And any season, any show that Danny plays in now, I am a Danny truther. I will fight for Danny as hard as anyone else. Like up until this point, Danny for me was like great casting. He was good, but he was just like consistent. Now he's like, he's come out of that consistency shadow and he's now a bona fide superstar, Chantal.
Yeah, he's making a name for himself. Absolutely. And, you know, you could tell like a lot of people, some people are really for his move and some people are really against his moves. But like, I am so for them because everybody's so afraid of these people and he's not. And I love just like the zero fear and no, like, he just wants to make a move, make waves, put himself in the best position possible. And I'm so enjoying him becoming a new player in the game. Drew and I were talking earlier about the fact that like Jordan was that kind of vibe where he gave no
100%.
F's. He's going in, he's saying like bananas who would flip those skulls. And he wouldn't even care if he went out, which he did. Like this is the energy that we're getting from Danny right now. And I'm loving it because it's like, he just wants to go in and do something and not be told what to do. And it's really fun and exciting to see these people have an opponent. So I'm 100%
contrast,
team Danny.
The contrast between Danny and Ben coming into the season, right? I know Ben was the last pick for me, or he was in the last round, but you guys know I've defended Ben in the past, but I was like, Ben, what are you doing? You're just like any of the other rookies. You're just falling in line with the vets and their plans. Like, it's good for his prospects of coming back to the main show because I have this theory that the production team wants to have people there that don't rock the boat. They want people there that will help the vets get to the end again. And I think that will probably mean Ben is more of a sure thing to come and go over to the main show because he's willing to play ball with them. But what I think the production team is missing, Angel Cake, and what we've been missing as fans for a while now is that there hasn't been anybody that has been willing to upset the apple cart. Like, the vets are too scared of TJ. Like, they don't want to get TJ mad. They don't want TJ to make a decision. We can't have that. That's like the worst thing that can happen if TJ makes a decision for the vets. But Danny doesn't give a single F.
No F's given.
Yeah, no way. And I mean, I think there has been some players that have come into the game that would like to stir some stuff up, kind of like Michaela. But when it comes into a certain aspect of the game where majority of the players that come in are either rookies that are very young or coming from an international background who have no idea what show they signed up for, or coming in being like, I'm just going to listen to CT or any of the vets and do whatever they say, that gets it hard for players like Michaela or Corey or anybody else that wants to start some traction against the vets to actually gain any momentum, because they have the Logans, they have the Emmanuels, they have the Emmys who are just willing to lay down and do whatever the vets say, that then at the end of the game, they get ran over and thrown into elimination. So...
yeah.
Welcome to the light.
Chris is finally turning on Ben. Welcome to the light. Listen, I think Ben outside of the game is probably a nice guy, but what is he doing this season? Like, he's coming in with numbers. These people have never betrayed him. Sarah and him, like, I mean, he was willing. This is what frustrated me. 2 seasons ago, he was willing to give up $2 million for Sarah. And now he doesn't have her back for $500K. It makes no sense to me, Chantel.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with Ben. I think he realizes that he's probably not going to win. So maybe he's just like, I'm going to have fun while doing it, maybe. I actually want to know both of your guys' opinions. What were they whispering about in the deliberation? Because they'd already given their vote in. What were the whispers all about?
Yeah, it was confusing, to be honest. I'm not too sure.
I think they were trying to figure out a way of what the votes were. And maybe trying to figure out, like, is there a way that we can, like, speak up to try to get somebody to change their vote? And that's why they threw, like, Amber and Troy's name out there, being like, well, you said this about them. And that was never just going to work. So, yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that was their thought process of trying to figure out, like, yeah, what are the votes? Because at the end, even Tori was talking to Danny, being like, this is where we're at. This is the tie. We can nip this in the bud, or we can go on like this. So
yeah, well, before Danny Cap here says, I love that we have a new pool of players. So many of them will work well into the regular show. I also like the fact that they are not all 20s something. Loving that 30s and 40s is now the normal. I do think that a lot of the audience, a lot of the fan base has grown up with the show, so it kind of hits still the mark for people like ourselves to still want to watch the show, because these people that we can relate to. But one of the theories I had, and myself and Kahuna, we did do our pre-recorded recap for this episode yesterday, and this will come out on that as well. I said, I wonder how many of these players will actually make it over, Chantel, to the main show, because does the producers really want people that will upset the apple cart? Because I feel like they've been recruiting and keeping people out of the show that will go against the likes of a Bananas, against the likes of a CT, against the likes of their vets that they want to get to the end of the show every single time. And I think they're protecting them. For me, it was so much fun to see Bananas pout at the table, be like, come on guys, it's only a game, why are you not voting my way? It was so fun to see this seven-time champion.
This is not how we used to do it. Oh, boo. It just popped into my head right now, but I'm thinking that this is a trial run for the producers. I think that they want to see how the audience reacts to having people that are willing to go against the vets. And so I think that's why they're bringing them into seeing, okay, so let's see what happens when we bring them into global. Okay, now we're going to bring them into USA season 2. Let's see what happens when they have people that are willing to, that they're coming from a competitive background, that are still rookies, but they're willing to play ball. And so I think they're testing it on another network where they're not going to lose necessarily their main people. And then maybe they'll start bringing in some people in if they think it's going to work, and if they think that they're going to have the audience. But I'm thinking that right now that these new versions are kind of a trial as to what may work or not work.
Lovable Nikki is not claiming Tori as an OG fan. Christina here says, I'm convinced that the challenge is wasting their money with certain people's appearance fees because all they do is keep the status quo and they make the season a slog to watch. And that's interesting because, there's a few people here, I think, that continue to protect certain players. Like, I mean, Darrell is in power and they leave us on a cliffhanger, but I kind of feel like it's not a cliffhanger because there's no way Darrell is going to throw Jordan down there because he needs to play with Jordan in a future season again. And he's thinking about his return season next season because that they have openly said on the show. Tori has openly said to Danny, we play this game together all the time. We have to think about that. And I think that I love seeing people come back. But if that isn't an advertisement to have more rotation and a bigger pool of players to bring in every now and again, then I don't know what else is, Angelcake.
Yeah, I think that, well, and that's the thing is like we grew up on, or at least what people deemed the golden era was that there was rivalries. There was people willing to go down and fight a whole other side of the game. You still had Bananas hearkening the vet rule of keep all the vets safe and throw all the rookies down and we'll get to each other later. But that doesn't fly with us now because nobody wants to, because there's so many rookies that come in every single season that when you get through everybody, you're pretty much at the end of the game. And it's kind of boring. We want to see rivalries. We want to see players stand up and want to compete. And I think to Chantel's point, this isn't just the best option of putting new players onto the flagship show, but this is like the best thing that they could want is people getting super invested into players that are from different international shows and international places that they can bring onto the show. But we have already established a connection. We already established a liking to them, like Zara. And then
disliking, by the way, like it's okay to dislike someone. Like right. I want to go into a show sometimes thinking, what? This guy is back on the show, but good entertainment. I'm not talking for Joss, but I mean someone that will go up against the apple cart, even if I want to see them fail, like Paulie. Maybe bring Paulie back. Like I know I'll go there. Bring him back. Bring some drama because he's another person that's not afraid to go against the power structure. Mm-hmm. So I want to see him either fail, either win. But at least I'm going to be entertained in the process. If I had to choose between him and like a Josh, I'm probably leaning Paulie's way. I said it.
Yeah, well, Josh, rumor has it, spoiler alert for a second, is that Josh is on USA too. So,
and that could kill it. By the way, that could kill it because Josh is so ingrained with the current meta of how to play the challenge and how to keep certain people safe and how to keep the game predictable and boring that he could take control of a season such as that because he's now a 5-time player going into the challenge USA, going up against maybe 1-time players. It's not going to be fair, Angelcake.
And they're going to be from Big Brother, and so he's going to be, oh my God, it's going to be so annoying. I mean, maybe it's going to be amazing. Maybe. Who knows? But
I am going to be my normal pessimistic self and say that USA 2, I'm not very looking forward to. Because I wasn't a huge fan of the first go-around, and now we're bringing in MTV people to... First of all, why? But anyways...
I really wish that they weren't. Because, I mean, that's what I liked about the CBS, the original version, is... that they were getting to learn how to play the game and we're getting to see people to see a format that we enjoy and these people that we recognize and know playing the game that we love. And so it's nice. And then now they come in as MVPs and then maybe pair them with these legends again. Maybe like that's the format and we do this again. But I don't like the fact that the MTV people are going to infiltrate how these new players play this game. It's just annoying because then it's just like training them how to be boring.
Exactly. Give them a chance to flourish on their own. Look at what has happened now with the likes of Danny and Sarah coming over. We haven't spoken much about Sarah. Sarah's only got one gear, and that is to be antagonistic in the way that she approaches the game. She's not afraid to take people on. She doesn't care to be the popular one. And that's why I'm a fan of Sarah, because it is going to make for entertaining TV. She's not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah, this season, I don't know if I'm a stan yet, but I don't dislike Sarah at all.
You guys heard it here first. Clip it, everyone.
I do want to say that with MTV players, and this is the last thing I'll say about the Challenge USA too, if we want to get back to a world championship at some point, but with MTV players being put onto the Challenge USA 2, it makes it feel more like a champs versus pros or champs versus stars, in my opinion, than its own standalone thing. Because for a lot of people, these spin-offs were looked at as like a proving ground. New players can be added to a challenge-like game, and maybe they'll play hard enough to get onto a world championship, and maybe that will result into a flagship show, and we can see their journey from spin-offs into the main series. Whereas, I don't know, I just don't like the idea of like 7 or 8 MTV vets coming in and then having a really strong connection with each other, bringing in more players. It'll just make it feel like a champs versus stars, in my opinion, which doesn't make me excited at all.
No, not at all. And especially with the lineup that they have. A, we've just seen them for like 2 years straight. and B, like I heard one of them might be Zach. And I'm like, why? What is happening? What are they doing? And so, yeah, Cody is not it as well.
I think Cody's a nice guy. I think that if you hear him in his streams and how he is on Twitch and how he talks about, I think he's just a super nice guy. I think he'd be fun to hang around outside of a reality TV show. Is he going to be compelling? I don't know. But like, would he be compelling reality TV? No, I don't think so. I think he would be boring. If you had to choose between Paulie and Cody, I think Cody is the better brother as like a human being, but Paulie is the more entertaining, messy brother for reality TV. That's my take on the two.
Agreed.
I choose Angelina, their sister.
Oh, okay.
The one that's not on reality
TV. I'm like, Jersey Shore, Angelina. I'm like, how's that a link? We just watched Cody on The Traitors, and anybody else could have played that. Like, been on the show. I didn't need to see him again. So, yeah, I'm done with the. If I'm going to see another Califiero, you can clip this as well. It would be Paulie. I do not want to see Cody on the screen.
Because Paulie, like, listen, I get it. A lot of people don't like the guy at all, but it's okay not to like someone to come into the show. Like, I feel like we've been so afraid in recent times to have villains on the show, people that we can root against, where I'm missing someone who doesn't give a F, that's going to go out there, they're going to upset people, because you're going to tune in, Chantal, to see Paulie either get his ass handed to him or finally winning one. And you're going to hate it, but you're going to talk about it. And the more people who talk about the show, the better it's going to be.
Absolutely. And I've already seen years upon years upon years about this current group of vets that keep on coming back, the Vacation Alliance plus some. And I don't need to see them win again, right? Like, I need to see people go against them. And if it's got to be Paulie that does it, then it's got to be Paulie that does it, because I just want to see. I don't want to see a one-sided game. We don't go to any sporting event to see one team clobber another team. It's just absolutely boring. So I want to see people that are willing to go toe-to-toe with these vets. And Paulie's one of them. He is. And I'm here for it.
A lot of people saying Davon. I've seen her name a few times. I wouldn't mind to see Davon back.
I think she said she's done, but...
Wasn't she this close to getting on the Challenge 38, though?
Right. Wasn't her partner going to be Josh at one point? And she said,
so.
I'm good.
I think it was Derek F at one point, and then it was going to be Josh.
That's what it was. You're right.
Derek F would make you say no. Let's be honest. Like, if you're like, Derek F's the person you're going to be attached to for the challenge, no way. So, like, you'd be like, no, I'm out. Like,
I have a hot take. Okay, not a hot take. A hot question. So I believe that Derek F stated, like, he's giving Danny props about, like, how the fact that, like, he's coming for these vets or whatever, these legends. And I feel like he's doing it to make it seem like he's going to be one of these people that is going to go and get, like, are we on Derek F's side here and want to see him go on to the challenge to see him go after the vets?
Yeah, but he's not going to win to get power. Like, how is he going to win a daily? Like, I just don't see him. Like, the challenge is too athletic, you know, and I just don't think he can. While we're on the topic of the challenge, this is something that I've been mentioning a few times now on the podcast that we did with myself and Kahuna. I am so impressed by the challenge. Like, obviously, sometimes with safety rules and things like that, they get it wrong. They don't always dream team and test things beforehand. But the challenges this season so far has been so much fun to watch. And when you compare it to Survivor 44, where it's like a reiteration, a regurgitation of the same type of challenges that we get every time, how is the challenge still innovating? They're like over 40 seasons, nearly 50 seasons if you look at the offshoot seasons, and we're still seeing new challenges that we have not seen before, Chantel. It's so entertaining to watch.
No, I love the fact that they're being creative with their challenges, but like I produced a couple of like Big Brother weekends before, and you can come up with challenges. Like you just like you're like, okay, what kind of challenge are gonna be? Like once you start brainstorming about challenges, if you brainstorm one, you can kind of brainstorm 10 variations, and then you can like tweak everything. I love that the fact that they're being innovative and they're doing some new things, because Survivor US right now is just kind of recycling what they've been doing, and I haven't seen something new and innovative. And so yeah, I've been loving all the challenges they've done so far this season. I thought the one this episode really cool with them swinging around. I thought it was a little bit unbalanced with the fact that some was left-handed and some was right-handed, how that was working. But other than that, like I thought it was pretty cool, like to be swinging around on those contraptions and throwing rings.
Such a cool challenge. And who would have thought that would be Zara's weakness, Angelcake, that she just couldn't get the timing right on those ring tosses, because she's been doing extremely well up until this point and have actually outshone Kaz in certain ways up until this point.
I mean, it was the hindrance of both her and Wes. I mean, they both kind of flopped in this past week's daily challenge. I mean, it was rough.
We did hear from someone in the comments. So remember, they said that Zara said on the podcast that she was able to get 25 rings to Wes, and Wes was only able to land 2 of them. So who dropped the ball or the ring there? Sorry, Drew.
No, I think it's a fair assessment, but I just think that both players just did not provide well enough. I mean, Ben and Casey also did not provide well. It sounded like Ben got the rings to Casey and she just couldn't get it in the bin either. So yeah, it was rough, but I really enjoyed this daily challenge. I mean, we did a tier-based ranking system in one of the Bakery After Hours live streams on Patreon, and for the challenge 38, there was quite a few daily challenges that were pretty high up or mid-level, and not so many were super flops, if I can remember. So, I mean, it is rather impressive that they can put together so many challenges, especially for a 22 episode season, and then doing all these seasons back to back to back to back to back is rather impressive feat. Now, some hit, some miss, but luckily this one was a real hit because we were left on a cliffhanger. If it was a flop, this cliffhanger would have hit harder, I think, for everybody else. But
even more mad.
Yeah.
I think the one that really impressed me was that first challenge where they had to run over the sand dune, go down, grab these heavy chains, pull them up, and the further they pulled the chains, the easier the puzzle was for them to figure out. And running on sand, having done that before, would have been so tough. But you know who impressed me? We haven't spoken about him yet, is Theo. He was country miles ahead of the rest of them when they had to run for that. Like, I was really impressed with how he can move. And Theo has looked impressive. He's been a little bit tame from an entertainment standpoint so far, but I think from next week onwards, we might see a bit of a rivalry forming between him and Danny, which might be very interesting because they showed in the future clips of what's going to happen. Danny and him are going to have some words. So we haven't seen the spicy side of Theo yet, but we do know that it exists.
I know. I can't wait. I mean, I love both Theo and Danny, so I don't want them to be fighting.
Rival season. Stacked rival season.
Are they playing for future seasons? That would be so good.
Danny's told people on Twitter that he's not, because people were coming for him on Twitter. And they were saying, Danny, how dare you go against the Jordan? It's a bad move. You're not going to get a future call-up. And he's like, well, you guys are thinking that I want a future call-up, is what he said on Twitter. Like, I mean, this guy's achieved everything. Like, why? Like, I mean, it would be awesome for him to come back, and I hope he does. But this guy has played in the NFL. Like, the challenge
and he got a paycheck already. Like, not to say that, like, you don't want to go back in and earn some more money for your family. But, like, he doesn't need to prove anything anymore, and so I think he will get the call if he wants to go back. Like, if he wants to go, he's there. I do not see them being like, you know what, you might have brought too much entertainment to the show. We're gonna pass. We're gonna bring Casey back instead. Yeah, and we're gonna pass on you, Danny. Yeah, you're just too entertaining.
And it's such a turnaround on his previous game, because the previous game was I'll sit back until the end when I need to make my move. But this time he's playing a lot more aggressive because he doesn't have shields in front of him like Tyson, who's taking a lot of the bullets. So he's got to think about it. Like, if you're Danny, you don't want to run against Jordan, Wes, or Bananas in the final. Those guys will beat you with, well, maybe beat you with experience. You want to have an easier route by going up against other MVPs who only had one final, maybe up until this point, behind their belt. I mean, Grant hasn't even run a final yet. He doesn't even know what he's getting himself into yet. So that's the easier route for sure. But let's talk a little bit about Theo still, because I haven't moved on from Theo. I know there's a lot of people who want us to talk about Theo. Chantal, how good is it to see Theo back finally on the arena? Finally see him back in the challenge.
Well, I wish we were seeing more of him. So like you're saying, like it looks like maybe he's going to have a little more visibility next episode onward. I want to see more of Theo because I think he's actually like very funny and like he wants to play. He's not afraid, kind of like how we're 11. Danny's not afraid to go toe to toe. Neither is Theo. He's ready to go down into elimination. He's ready to run a final. Like he's just such a good personality and character to have on the show. So I want to see more from him right now. So I can't wait.
Yeah. And Angel Cake, I've spotted Theo having slight digs at Wes the whole time out there. We know him and Wes went to the final together. They've got this frenemy rivalry type of thing going on there. I have heard him give quite a lot of digs at Wes and sort of poking the bear a few times out on the show as well.
Yeah, I think the reason why we haven't seen too much of Theo is, one, there's a lot of personalities that are kind of overshadowing him, mainly Danny and Sarah wanting to get numbers as well as put their own strategy out there. And I think Theo is using this maybe as a way to dip his toes back into the challenge realm, kind of get it back into a rhythm of doing these challenges, being in these high octane situations, being in the house, as well as I don't know how much he's been talking to his old castmates through his time apart from the show, but maybe he's thinking about coming back to the flagship show and he's using this as a way to maybe get some social standing with Bananas, Tori, Jordan, and get that kind of rhythm back into his game to where if and when he comes back to the flagship show, he'll already have those relationships established again, and then he can just like hit the ground running during that time, whereas he just wants to take it kind of chill. He does have Kaz in the game, so maybe he's also wanting to let her do her thing and kind of navigate what they're doing on the show as well. So I think he may just want to lay low and just kind of let the game come to him, and he is partnered up with Sarah, who is doing the most at the moment, trying to do everything. So I don't think he has to worry about that. The less he knows what Sarah is doing, probably the better it is around the vets. Like, I don't know what she's doing. She can do whatever she wants. I'm over here talking to Bananas and Wes all the time or something like that.
Now, I do want to ask you guys, there's one MVP we haven't spoken about. Was a few of them, but there's one that I definitely want to bring up. I had the biggest reaction from both of you when I picked Kiki off the bat, and I said, this girl's got heart. This girl, I saw something in her in the Challenge Australia that made me a believer, because I'm always impressed by those players where when I prejudge them coming into a season, and I'm like, she's the pretty girl, she's the batchy girl, she's not going to be a contender. And then she absolutely freaking gives me that right hook, like she spoke about in this last episode in the Challenge Australia. And I have been all in on Kiki. Like, I'm still all in on Kiki right now. Chantal, can you see what I saw in Kiki coming into the draft now a little bit? Can you see the fire?
No, I mean, I actually really enjoyed Kiki on her season, but I liked Emily more on that season than I liked Kiki. So I just automatically preferred Emily. But now that we're seeing them in this particular game, I'm 100% all in on Kiki, and I'm not a fan of Emily in this format. So it just really was circumstantial. I always thought she was a great competitor. I always thought that she was great. I just particularly liked Emily more coming into this season. I think Kiki is great. I love her and Darrell being in a partnership together.
Such a cool partnership.
Good.
The whole time when Darrell is like, fuck it. And he's like, oh, sorry, I swear. And she's like, no, go ahead. It's so cool. I love those two together.
Yeah, and like I think that Darrell is really happy that he has a partner that's strong, willing to do stuff, willing to get her hands dirty and like play the game. And I think that that's kind of the fight that he needed in Amber. Amber was just willing to listen to him, but Kiki's is there to really work with him and to get them to the end. And this was the first episode. I was like, I can actually see them getting to the end now. Say again?
Darrell has not had someone with him for a very long time that could push him, because
Yeah.
I feel like Darrell has been. We know what Darrell is capable of. And for the people coming into the season that were low on Darrell, like all of us were like, we didn't even pick him that early on, where when All-Stars 1 came around, he was the first
Number
draft
one,
pick.
yeah.
Yeah, we were like, man, this guy's a 4-time champion. He's excellent at what he does, but we've kind of lost a little bit of faith. I feel like Kiki could reignite that flame. He needed someone there, Angelcake, that could run with him and even push him in the game.
Yeah, I love this duo, this partnership. And I just want to make it clear. I think we all were a fan of Kiki. It's just you drafted her third
First.
overall.
First.
Well,
she was my number 1 pick.
But third,
Right,
third,
but
pick,
yeah.
Third overall. Yeah. Third overall, the third woman pick. And so I think that's what took us by surprise is we had all these MVPs and the MTV legends that she was the third pick overall, your first woman pick. That I think that's what shocked
it was
us
just
the most.
yeah, surprising because we haven't seen
Yeah.
her go up against these people, this group of people. And there's some people that have proven more times to do better more consistently. Absolutely. I was going to say something though. Darn it. What was it going to be?
But yeah, she crushed it this past week. So
I think one of the things as well for me at that point when I made that pick, I even said at that point that there's so many great legends in the game, which Darrell is one of them. Yes,
you wanted to make sure you got her though. Yeah.
He's a sleeping giant, and I was like, for the women, I felt like there was a very big drop off when you've got people like Kellyanne coming back and Jody coming back in, which great players in their own right. Jody is a beast, but I just really, really was worried about them coming into this season not being able to run with the new kid on the block, Kiki, because of what I saw. And I think I had it right in that regard. But talking about both Kellyanne and Jody, they've had a tough go at it so far. Chantel, what has it been like to see Kellyanne immediately go into Kellyanne freakout mode? There's a big rivalry and an issue between Janae and Kellyanne right now. I feel like Jody's kind of been screwed more than anything else, but Kellyanne she's got a pretty good partner. Like Tristan, yes, he's not performed so far, but we also know that he is capable of performing, and she's really, I feel like she's floundering a little bit.
Well, we can't talk about Kellyanne and Jody without talking about the fall of Janae. So I think that I was really disappointed. We had Kellyanne fall pretty low into the draft, and so we weren't necessarily expecting. She might have even have been a sabotage. I'm not even sure, but she fell pretty low. No, okay, she fell pretty low into the draft, and it's because we know that she hasn't been able to really get numbers together with people that win power and do well and go far. And so we weren't really having that high expectations. But the fact that Janae, that's someone that they're friends outside of the game, they've run 3 seasons together of All-Stars. Janae has won twice with her in the game. The fact that Janae was willing to kind of just dump that friendship, and just get rid of it, it just didn't make any sense to me. And I completely understood how Kellyanne was reacting. I get it. Like, she should be showing Tristan the ropes here and showing him how to play this game. But she's a reactive person. You always get a reaction out of Kellyanne when someone wrongs her, when someone treats her a certain way. She's always standing up for herself. She's never wanting people to walk all over her. And so I wasn't surprised by Kellyanne acting this way. And so I think that she might be able to hide a little bit. I know that her name has been thrown out, but I feel like right now with Danny and Sarah kind of trying to come for the legends, I think that's going to be a distraction for Kellyanne at this moment. And potentially Jody is going to be in that similar position. I think that Janae is going to be out of the game before both of them at this point, because they might be collateral damage for Bananas wanting to sacrifice some of these Australian players. And I think that they might be able to squeak by. So I think that they're going to be okay for now. But if somebody who knows? Darrell might be throwing one of them in, because we know that Darrell at times doesn't make the big move. So maybe I'm going to be eating my words here. But at this point, I think that there's a lot of bigger fish to fry, and that they might be able to just hide in the shadows for at least a couple of rounds.
Yeah, it's interesting. She's partnered with Grant. Grant has been the shock of the season for me so far, and we'll talk about that after this. But I had a theory about Janae Angelcake. Janae's been casted aside by the challenge world for quite a long time. She came back in All-Stars. She suddenly found a group of people that were like Janae Stanners, like ourselves. We were like really behind her when she won. We've really enjoyed what she's brought to the table, and she's kind of dominated the All-Stars arena, but she feels out of place there. She's too young really to be running in the All-Stars group in my mind. Now she's getting the opportunity to play with Casey. She's getting the opportunity to play with Tori. She's getting an opportunity to play with people from the main show. And I kind of feel like it was, I want to go hang out with the cool kids now. I want to hang out with the main show. I want to start making allegiances with the main show. So if I turn my back on the All-Stars crew, it doesn't matter, because guess what? I want to get back on the main show, Angelcake.
I think we saw that in All-Stars 3, though. I think that's Johnny's game. I think she likes to play a low-profile game of both sides of the fence. And this season, because she won so quickly and so early, and then Kellyanne being a friend of hers and Jody being a friend of hers, whom she worked with in All-Stars 2, apparently, she had to make a tough decision. And I think she went about it the wrong way. I mean, I think she should have just been upfront with Kellyanne. I mean, you only get 2 options. So it's either a 50-50 chance of who you're going to go with. So she shouldn't have had that conversation with Kellyanne if she wasn't 100% sure she was going to keep her. And even if she was going back on it, she needed to tell Kellyanne before going in there and blindsiding her, sending her into against Nelson and Huhui, who was absolutely abysmal in the daily challenge and the elimination. So I think John A can play. I don't know if she's ever going to really make that leap back to the main chip show. I know that there was talks that she could have been in the talks to be in Challenge 38 with Derek Chavez. I just don't think she's going to do that, especially from her podcast interview with the Challenge Official podcast. She said that she kept on she wanted to do this to see if she could perform at another higher level, but it didn't sound like she wanted to be away from her kids, away from her husband for
I think she'd
4
say
months.
yes to the opportunity, though, if it came around. I kind of agree with your theory, Chris, because it just made no sense to want to suck up to, the vets and throw away that relationship. So so early, like, you stab her in the back,
there's
like
so many
a couple
people,
episodes in, like there's literally so many people that, well, I guess it would have just been Jody and whatever, but like there was other things that they could do. And I just was disappointed in her in making that decision and just making such a bad move. And it just, to me, just took away any gameplay that I was giving her credit for. It just made me think that, like, oh, she kind of, I don't know, more lucked out, or she was playing with people that were not as she was more physically fit then. And so she just had an upper hand.
I don't want to discredit the previous seasons that she's had and the game that she's played in those seasons. I do think that you can get it wrong. And if you play the game 50 times, you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games. I mean, that's the reason why we sometimes see Wes doing something stupid like he did this season with not chugging down the drink, and that costs him his spot in the daily being last.
But I've always had a slight hesitation on, like, remember All-Stars 1, I was like, I don't know, I don't really believe that she deserved to win that one. She was able to repeat it in All-Stars 2, so I was giving her props and credit around there. And so that's why I drafted her high for this one, because I was like, okay, it looks like she has figured something out. She knows how to play this game. And then seeing what she did with the first opportunity she had in Power, it made me think that I had it right the first time, when I didn't think that she was that impressive. But I mean, if she can come back again and impress me again, but at this point, I'm not picking her high up in the rankings.
I'm not overly convinced. Well, firstly, she's burned bridges with the All-Stars crew now, so if she does come back to All-Stars and Kellyanne is there again, Jody is there again, it's going to be a lot harder for her to run her way through the game without having some resistance. But if she does go to the main show, I think she's going to, like someone said earlier here, she's going to be at the bottom of the pecking order, because she's kind of a rookie again coming back into that group, because it's a new group of players that have played together for a long time. They're going to, the what's it called, the Vacation Alliance or something? They're going to definitely have each other's backs above her. I mean, look at Amber. She's still in no man's land coming even into this season. She doesn't seem to be fully fitting in with the group of players that just played 38, and she's kind of struggling to find her own feet. But let's talk about Grant, right? Grant came into the season. He kind of fell to you, Chantal, or it was the second last pick overall for the season. What a pick to have as your second last pick for the season, because Grant has been absolutely killing it on the show at this point, and who would have seen it coming?
On my other draft, Grant was my sabotage. I was like, let's do it.
Not a bad sabotage.
Not a bad sabotage. No, I'm happy with having Grant and Jonay as like people that are on my team right now. But game wise, I just thought that she really failed there. Grant, I think that he's bringing something into the game for sure. I'm kind of wary about the fact that they decided to be the smokescreen vote here. That he's willing to put himself in that position, which is great for television wise, because like if something goes wrong and they go in, like he's willing to put himself in that situation, so he's not playing scared. But it's not the best to be the decoy vote, like it's just not the best position to put yourself in. So I worry about his decisions in that regard, but I'm happy that he and Danny are like best buds. Who knew? And so
that is a funny connection, because it's like they're from such different worlds, because Grant is like he's like almost like a redneck in Australia. He's like from the outback. Like he's not even from like, he's kind of like, that's why he's got all these sayings, these Aussie slang. It's because
so good.
He's from like the backwoods, and he's like, he's connecting with Danny, and Danny doesn't seem like, it's just such a cool, weird friendship, and there's loyalty there. I'm telling you now, Grant will go to war for Danny after this round.
I'm happy about that though. Like, so I think that he surprisingly put himself in a good position with somebody that I'm rooting for. So I respect it. I respect his game so far, for the most part. And I want to see how well he does. I'm happy that I have him on my team. Yay.
We spoke a little bit about this, Drew, but the Aussie team is quite a fascinating team as well, because they're kind of split in the middle, where Kiki and Troy are the champions. They feel like they deserve to be there. Emily and Grant didn't do as well in that season. And we know that Emily and Grant was a part of the alliance that went against Kiki's alliance, and the alliance that Troy kind of fell into, us backwards in the Australian season. So there is these underlining issues. Do you think that we're going to see the Australian team crumble at some point because of this rift coming into this game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we kind of got the idea from the edit, not only this week, but from the previous weeks of like the premiere of Emily and Kiki kind of keeping tabs on each other with a little rivalry, especially when they were finishing up the qualifier and Kiki was able to put her poll in, even though Emily was ahead of her and she couldn't get it in. And then just this past week, I mean, Grant is saying that she's carrying on like a pork chop and calling her an airhead. And then Kiki is hearing from Troy about Emily's involvement in getting her voted in next to Kaz in the first elimination, which is not great. I mean, that's just going to add fuel to the fire. And I think it's going to come to a head sooner rather than later. I just don't personally think it's going to be this upcoming week when it's going to all come to fruition.
Though.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah, it's gonna come to a head pretty soon. Admin Ariotex, thank you so much for the sticker. We really appreciate that. With some Canadian dollars, $3.30 from your neck of the woods, Chantel. So yeah, I mean, it's been entertaining. It's been fun to see how all these storylines are sort of coming together right now, and we even see a little bit more of Wes. Being Wes very early on, having this conversation. And this is one that I think is quite interesting, because we spoke about that, Kahuna is Australian. He gets it. I'm from New Zealand. I kind of get the culture here. But in New Zealand and Australia, there's something called tall poppy syndrome, which is like the more you talk about yourself and you boast, it's really frowned upon culturally over here in this side of the world, where from South Africa, I think it's a little bit more like America. We like to talk ourselves up a little bit. We look at it as being confident, But I had to like kind of amend myself when I came to New Zealand, because it was frowned upon. People were like, Chris is full of himself, So seeing Wes talk to both Grant and Troy was one of the funniest scenes, when he was talking about his Lambo and the businesses he was running. And I was like, this is going to go down like a lead balloon with them. And I like the fact that we get these cultural differences. We've got Argentina that is clearly struggling in this game. I mean, we've only got one Argentinian player left in the game. Like, do you think if we have another world championship in the future, we get to see Argentina again? Do you think that they need to look at maybe another country? Do you think Argentina can culturally fit into a game such as the world championship? Or has this season proven that maybe this is not the type of game shows for them?
No, I think they can. I absolutely think they can. I think that maybe with Argentina's casting people that are a little bit more, better English speakers potentially, maybe make the level a little bit higher, because I don't know what shows or what other experience some of these players had. And so, they're going against people that are NFL players as opposed to, somebody that's a host on a TV show. They're going to have different skill sets. Yeah, they still might be amazing and awesome, but you have Troy that's an Australian Ninja Warrior going on these seasons. So I think if the casting for Argentina was a little bit more sports focused, or just a little bit more in the same caliber as like Survivor and The Challenge, I think that they might have better success, because people liked having them around, but they kept on falling into the bottom. So it just made it easy for them to be like, you know what, let's just stick another Argentina against each other and just knock out a country. So I think it's possible for sure for them to do better, but I think it has to start with the casting for their original season.
Yeah, Lovable Nick here says any and all Spanish-speaking countries need translators. This includes all countries. Justice for Kim and Colleen. Team German. Sorry, you go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just going to say it would be a crying shame if the challenge doesn't try to hit the Argentina well again, because they were doing by far the best ratings out of every show. I think you could take all the ratings of every spinoff that they had, put them together, and they still wouldn't reach the levels that Argentina had. It was rather impressive, but also they got done dirty by the scheduling that they had, where they did their season last, they did the whole season, and then a week later they were asking people, hey, do you want to be part of this? It starts in a week. And they were like, no, I can't do this. I got to do something. I have other contractual obligations and I have to go home. I got to do this. I'm mentally and physically exhausted. I mean, there was people who went into the finals and they were leaving, and the production was like, hey, the world championship starts in a week, in 5 days. You need to, do you want to go do it? And there was a ton of people that were like, I just did this game. I can't go do it. So
I would love to have the winner and the runner up. I would love to have those two people representing us. 100%.
So I think that discredited them too, because people can just say, oh, the winners isn't even here. So whatever, we'll just take out these. I don't want to call them bad, because they're like scrubs compared to there's two winners and then two finalists from every single other country, and then MTV
the UK
Legends,
was the most
Argentina players.
The UK had the winners and the runner-ups there, but I only heard yesterday from Kahuna that apparently the reason that the Challenge UK was a shorter season with less people was because they filmed during the time that the Queen passed away, and half of the cast just walked off. I didn't even know that until yesterday when I spoke to Kahuna, and that to me just again shows planning and the way that they do these things. Surely there's got to be some contractual things that you can put in place that if you just walk away from the show, you've committed to it. There is a penalty that you have to pay for walking away. I mean, because they're putting how many millions of dollars into getting a production up, getting all of the challenges set up for it just to be pulled, the rug to be pulled out of from underneath them.
But there might be a Queen's clause. I'm not even being funny. Like there might be like you can take. I'm sure that you could take a day off legally with the Queen's passing. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure there's bereavement clauses in the UK's work structure. So I'm sure that's. It's probably understood that if
and it's fresh for me to say it, being not from England. I don't really look up to the royal family or anything like that, but I understand for the UK it's very different, and they take those things very seriously. I just want to bring up a question here from Admin again with a $5 Canadian. Thank you so much. Admin asks, who are your favorite players for each of you? My favorite player as of this week is Danny, hands down. Like, I am loving Danny. More of that Danny energy in future seasons. Any new player that goes out there, take on the power structure. And I love the fact that he feels comfortable to do it because he's got enough badasses around him that's also willing to go to war with the veterans. So it's Danny for me. Drew, who's your favorite player so far?
Right now, I'll say it's Kiki and Darrell, but I also love Danny, of course. I just love them as well. But
it's just sad that a win for Danny is a win for Tori.
I know, we said this before earlier. We're like, oh man.
Sorry, you were gonna say so it's Kiki and Darrell is your favorite team right now. I'm actually quite liking them as well.
I love how wholesome they are.
I like them too.
It would be Troy
mean,
and Amber if we saw more of them. I think that pair is really, really fun, but we haven't seen much of them.
Just before Chantel gives us her team, since you're talking about Troy and Amber, how gutting would it be if Troy gets the Kohara treatment and he ends up being removed from the game because his partner is pregnant? I would be so devo for him.
Drew's pleading the fifth on this one. I asked him this today.
Well, I would be really upset with you, Chris. Another reason for me to be upset with you, because I have both Troy and Amber. So, yeah.
Hey, how's the bakery getting away from this without being blamed? They're the ones told you to pick Troy, not me.
Oh, you're part of the bakery, so guess what? You're sitting in that seat too, my guy.
I'll take a hit. All right, Chantel, who's your favorite?
I mean, even though he put him, okay, obviously both the picks that you've made as my top picks, but just to bringing a different part of the conversation, up until this fumble, I loved Wes and Zara. I love Wes and Zara, like her being his little student and taking notes and, you know, the animalistic instinct coming out. Like, I just love that she was just willing to take whatever he said and roll with it and not feel like, oh, Wes is just like being egotistical and telling me what to. She was just really allowing him to mentor her, and she was just falling into it. It's been really fun, really entertaining, and I just hope that this wasn't a blunder that is going to take them off my screen. I worry for that being the case, for the fact that why are we getting this cliffhanger? Like, are we trying to preserve having Wes in the game for longer, like, or in the show for longer? Another episode. It's worrisome. Other worrying parts were the fact that she mentions dyslexia, so I'm wondering, like, oh boy, is it going to be something that's with numbers or with letters, and that's going to be confusing for her? Or, as Drew said, though, maybe it's something overcoming, you know, her learning disability or her dyslexia. Maybe that's the case, but it's just a little scary that they have a cliffhanger when it's Wes and Zara that are automatically going in. I worry, but they have been a really entertaining team. I feel really strong. I think that Zara has punched her ticket to come back to a future season. I hope so. I think that she's done enough up until this point. Just being underestimated, being super fast. TJ saying that, like, oh, she's faster than all of them in that last daily. I forget the wall. Oh, I can't remember the bridge.
Gates of Hell.
Gates of Hell. Bridge of Hell.
What a cool daily, by the way.
I knew you would love that one.
It reminded me. Yeah, it reminded me of, I told Kahuna, it reminded me of the beep test that we used to do for rugby. You would run from one end to the other, and you would have to beat the beep every single time, and the beep gets faster and faster. So you get up to, like, there's 20 levels. If you can get up to like 12 or 14 levels, you're like Division 1 level athlete to be able to beat the beep. But this time it was with a physical gate. So I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I love the fact that, you know, Zara she was not afraid to take on Danny and Tori and, like, wrestling them. And she's like this scrawny little girl, and she's like getting in there, you know? So I really like that fight in her. But also like the fact that, you know, when Wes said to her, you see all these people here, they're all lifting weights, useless. Don't do that. All you need to focus on is running.
It's true, though.
Absolutely love that.
It's true. Popcorn muscles do not help you in a final.
I did want to bring up, what did you guys think about Bryony being the host that got the opportunity to fill in for TJ? I mean, they could have chosen anybody to come and do it, but Bryony was their choice. And we do know that the Challenge Australia had the worst ratings out of the 3 shows, but I kind of feel like this is like giving me hope that they're kind of endorsing Bryony. Maybe they like Bryony. Maybe we do get a second Australian challenge and they amend it. They bring more survivors in or give the fans what they want over in Australia.
I think they did that to potentially have Australian viewers see this and be like, oh, wait, I never watched that. Let's try. Are they having another season? Oh, no, they're not. I would have watched it, but I never heard about it before, or it didn't have players on it that I cared about it before. Like, if they stacked it with some of Australian Survivor players, like, I'm sure people would be watching it. Australian Survivor is amazing.
Just get George on the next one and everybody will watch.
I don't know if George suits the challenge.
No, but still, he will bring in the numbers. He will definitely bring in the numbers.
I mean, I would watch it, obviously. I'm obsessed with George, but I don't know if he's the... Okay, I mean, bring him.
Luke,
Bring him.
definitely George, Luke Toki, David Gannett. Get the big three in there. Bring Haley in. She's a badass.
Yes,
Bring in Shay, Shawnee. Like, there's so many good
I was going to say Brookie,
options.
but she's pregnant. So, okay, so not Brookie maybe right now, but maybe in the future she'd want to come on. Like, there's just so many people that I would be pumped to see on the challenge. I've watched some of the seasons of The Bachelor and Love Island. Like, I knew who Grant was before he went on the show, and I wasn't as engaged in those shows though as I was in all seasons of Australian Survivor. So I think they missed the mark on casting, and I think that they're bringing on Bryony
100%.
was to be like, hey, sorry, we made a mistake. We got it figured out now. Give us another go. Let us try again. So,
like, just to stay on Bryony, because there's so many directions I can go into. Look out for the interview that I did with Connor. It's gone through first vetting process with Channel 10. It's going for a second one. There was a lot of stuff said that won't make the final cut.
okay.
But it will come out. It will come out, because one of the things I can say is Connor kind of spoke about the fact that they focused on some of the wrong things that happened in the house. He said there were so many fun moments that were left out. The fact that we didn't get to see Conrad's personality. Apparently Conrad's like one of the funniest individuals, and we didn't see that. We didn't get to see Karen's light side, because they kind of focused so much on the underdogs who I can read between the lines, were not the good people that season. And they tried to make us get behind them. And it made me feel disconnected with the season as a whole, because I could tell something here isn't right, and some of that stuff won't make the final cut because it's problematic. But all I can say is I can understand where some people said no to coming on this challenge season when they saw that Grant and Emily was going to be there, right? But Grant and Emily are like the two poster children for Australian Survivor right now. They're being brought in. The production team loves them, and they're trying to, I think, bring them back for future seasons. One thing I can say is that Conrad did say, Connor said to me that Grant kept things above belt, at least with his jabs at him. So it was, yes, there was a rivalry, but it was above belt. Can't say all of it for the rest of them, but I can say that. But yeah, so going back to Bryony, I think that they have a natural knack for hosting. So I hope that Angelcake drew that Bryony. How does Bryony translate for you as someone that has watched the challenge for a long time? You're American. Do you think that they did a good job in the absence? I mean, it's hard to fill in for TJ. He's a GOAT. And by the way, congratulations to the Hall of Famer. But how do you feel like Bryony did in that spot?
Bryony is incredible. I mean, out of all the international hosts, they had the best personality. They were the most engaging. I mean, you could tell there's this authenticity with them and how they speak and how they come onto the show and introduce everything.
And respected.
I mean, yeah.
The cast respects them.
Yeah, and I think the idea that the only other person probably would have been Mark, the Bachelor / other host from the UK, and I mean, not to say anything bad about Mark, but I mean, he's like a wet sponge. I mean, a little bit. I mean, he didn't really say a whole lot, but I mean, I think Bryony was the way to go, and they were incredible. And can I just say, why can't we have like all the international hosts kind of come in
South
for
Africa,
at least
though.
one episode or another to
Cool.
co-host, since everybody is still there? I mean, why can't we have like co-hosts every, that's why I thought we were going to have like a round robin of like, because it was fun seeing TJ and Bryony on the side of Gates of Hell, kind of having a conversation of the game, who they're looking at, the conversations, the commentary on certain players. Oh, they're really fast. They're not really fast. Come on, hurry up, get back over here. I thought that was really fun. So why couldn't we have a little bit more of that play in here? I guess some other contracts and everything, but I think that would have been fun to have.
Oh, of course, Liz. Sorry. People just have been like saying all these amazing players from
There's so many great players.
It's just, they could have a stacked season of.
But Chantel,
yeah,
they said Chappies from Survivor South Africa, who I think would be fun to see out there. I mean, he would be a hot mess, but he would be good at the challenges. Rob Bentelli from South Africa really wants to be on the challenge. Another potential great person to bring on. I do think that where's the African challenge? Like, we need the challenge Africa.
I'd
Let's get Africa to represent. I'll cover it. Like, I mean, I would
Yeah,
make time to cover it, because, you know, I feel like Africa's got some really good athletes and some great personalities as well. So there is no shortage of places they can go. It's more about, do they have the time? Because Drew, like, logistically, like, it feels like they must be getting pretty close to working 365 days a year now, because they've got so many shows that are constantly being filmed. Like, can they keep up with adding so many shows? Because I have it on good authority that the production team were behind doing all these offshoot seasons. Like, it was the main show. They only had like very limited involvement from the local country's channels to give them guidance onto what would translate well to the audience over there. But this was pretty much run by the main production team.
Well, the same challenges anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
So
know.
I don't know if they've got the time for it.
It's nerve-wracking for the sense of, like, we don't want any like quality difference moving on from spin-off or season to season. I mean, we've been saying it for quite a while. Like, I think we all love having content to have and to talk about and to engage with audiences and people who watch our stuff and comment and everything. But it's also we don't want it to become at the expense of quality from these seasons or these shows or these guidelines or these storylines. I mean, at a certain point, it's just going to all kind of blend together if Tori is in every single season moving forward, and the same few people are on the same season and the same storylines, the same people get very far. I mean, this World Championship and all the spinoffs have been great in their own right, but at a certain point, you kind of want to be like, you can't keep going at a rate to then have the same quality. Even from TJ, I mean, he seems to be having a great time, but there's going to be a point where he's going to be like, I need a couple of weeks off, you know, like there's going to be,
maybe
I have
that's
a
at
wife
65.
Yeah, true.
So interesting enough, you know, we've got two people here saying, why don't we have Challenge South Africa? Obviously, this season is in South Africa. All Stars 4 is in South Africa. I grew up in Cape Town, so seeing Table Mountain at the back is so nostalgic. Being able to see that spot where they were running out of the arena. By the way, they were playing that first game in my favorite team's arena, the Stormers, who play from Cape Town Stadium. So that was cool to see. But where they ran to the outside to do some of those challenges on that big bit of land, that bit of grass that they were on, if you look right over the ocean, you can see Robben Island, which is where Nelson Mandela was in prison for so long. So, you know, I don't know if they even knew the history of what was going on where they were, you know. But for me as a fan, like, I mean, I got into it because Final Reckoning was in Mossel Bay, South Africa as well. So I was like, oh, this is in South Africa. There's some players I know. I want to watch it. So it's always that extra cool feeling when you see it. But they clearly have some connections with South Africa. I spoke to Leroux Botha last year, the producer for Survivor South Africa, and I said to him, you need to start getting, because he doesn't know the challenge. I was like, you need to start watching this thing. You need to start taking note of it. I think Afrikaans could add this to their list because they're always looking for new reality TV shows. And Leroux Botha, Chantal, like, if you look at what he's done with Survivor South Africa, I feel like he's one of those guys that's got the passion to bring something like the challenge to life in Africa. Like, I would endorse Leroux Botha taking over this responsibility in South Africa.
Maybe it's you, Chris. Maybe it's you.
Me? Like, what, to be the presenter?
No,
I'll be the presenter.
A producer. Like, bringing it
producer.
to bring it to the show, bring it to our TV screens. Like, maybe you're the one that needs to make this happen. I don't know how, but maybe it's your calling.
Maybe. Well, I'll keep talking to Leroux Botha and say, like, listen, if you guys want to take something extra on, I'm keen. I'm keen to work with it. I think, you know, at least I come from a place where I understand the challenge. And I understand the fandom behind it. And like, the challenge has got so much potential and they're doing so much more right compared to Survivor at the moment. Like, I feel like we as Survivor fans want to see global crossovers for Survivor, and they're not doing it. But the challenge is listening to the fans. And in fact, I don't even know if the fans knew they wanted this. But for me so far, it's been hitting it out of the park. I've been pretty impressed with it.
Definitely. And I think I can't wait. I can't wait for it to happen. It's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be a season in the future. We're going to get some more franchises. Like, maybe they're testing out Argentina, and maybe next time they're testing out South Africa. Who knows what they're doing behind the scenes when they're filming this particular season? Maybe they're seeing, like, hey, you know, we filmed a bunch of seasons in Argentina, so maybe that's why they decided to, you know, have it. Wait, is there like an MTV South Africa?
There is MTV in South Africa, yes.
So yeah, maybe they're going to
Could be a
just
crossover.
see if they could do a season
Well,
there now.
MTV is part of DSTV, which is
Mhm.
the pay-to-view channel, biggest network like satellite TV in South Africa, and Afrikaans is a part of that branch because they do via DSTV and Mnet, they do Survivor. So there is synergy there. There is connections there. I feel like we could make this thing happen. I'll continue. I promise the fans I'll continue to push for it from my end. Whenever I get an opportunity to talk to Leroux, I'll be like, what are we doing on the challenge? Like, why can't we like get the challenge in there? Because I feel like it could be something because South Africans love competitive reality TV. So I don't see why this wouldn't fall right into that bracket. And there is a lot of challenge fans over there. Lena, thank you so much for the super sticker with the $4.99. We appreciate you so much. Joanna's saying, Chantel, fix your face.
I don't know. I guess that's making a face.
That's the Simon thing. Remember Haley saying to Simon, you've got to fix your face?
Simon. Well, like, he was really bad. It was really bad that he was like, just fix your face.
and it's funny because I saw an Instagram post from him. This is a little bit of Survivor Australia for those who don't know what we're talking about. But I saw an Instagram post of him saying, "Well, me not fixing my face at least got me the Isuzu D-Max, you know, because he got the truck this season. So he did something right." Always happy to give you guys some of the insights as well. I saw somebody saying, thank you for the insights. I vacation in Cape Town December. I love Cape Town. Cape Town is beautiful, man. And it's got such a rich culture and history to it. And I'm always happy to provide any insights. If anybody wants some information or want to know a little bit about South Africa, they want to go visit there, let me know. They've casted so many Germans last few seasons and none have delivered. Might as well plunge on South Africa. There's some good characters if they need some. All right. We're getting towards the end here of this live. It's been so great catching up with everybody in the live. I'm so happy we could do this. It's been great, Drew, catching up with both you and Chantel. And I know that we will be back in about 2 or 3 weeks from now to talk on Chantel's channel. But for now, Drew, what is happening over on the Angel Cake channel? Let people know where can they find you and what's happening.
I'm on youtube.com/angelcakevids. And over at Angel Cake Entertainment, I'm doing reviews and recaps as of right now, as well as tirelessly working on the Cara Maria Part 3 Evolution video, which is, just to throw this out there on Patreon, there's going to be a peek at the rough first cut of a section of that going up tomorrow for Patreon only. So I'm very excited how that is turning out. And yeah, this last part is going to be a long one. And I'm hoping to have it out in April, hopefully the second week of April at the latest. So that's the plan. And yeah, and then weekly videos from there on out. So yeah.
Don't you also need to share our draft and how things are going, Drew? Do we forget about this part of the pod?
I mean, we don't have to.
Yeah, we've got. I can continue for another 5 minutes before I have to get ready for Russell Muscle TV's live stream because I'm jumping on there straight after this. So if you want to bring it up, Angel Cake, just give us a quick rundown of where the points are sitting.
All right, I'm in third place with 171 points. I only scored 35 this past week. Chris, you are in second place with 182 points. You scored 55, the most this week between either Chantel and I. And you're only 7 points behind Chantel, who has been in first place this whole time. And can I just say that's pretty good? Only 18 points separates all three of us, which is, I think, the closest we've ever been this far and this deep into a season. So I'm very excited. Hopefully I'll do better. Everybody pick it up.
It's early. It's like, I know I put on the title for this thing mid-season, but it's like weird because we've only had like what, one elimination up until this point, maybe 2 eliminations.
Dude.
Yeah. It feels strange. Yeah. Chantel, what's happening on your
Wait,
channel?
we didn't even get to play my game. So let's just do a quick little bit of my game, okay, before you have to pop out. So let me just get this going for you. It's going to be fun, Chris. Going to be fun. But we're doing a game of partners. And so I just want you to tell me which 2 faces of challengers are going to be morphed together. So there's 12 here, but we can get through as many as we can get through. But yeah, if you can share that for us, we can look at it together.
Do that.
I keep on forgetting who they are too. All right, so which two challengers are morphed together here?
It's definitely yes, one of them. I don't know who the other person is though. Yes.
It's Theo.
You
Really?
are correct, Drew. It is yes and Theo. Okay.
Wow.
Next up is
Ooh,
what's this combo?
Jody. I feel like Jody and someone else. I don't know who else,
Mhm.
Drew. You seem to be pretty good at this.
Is it John A?
It is Jody
Wow.
and John A.
Teamwork is the dream work, Drew.
All right.
It's Troy and someone else.
Darrell.
Darrell. Yeah, because of the little goatee, right?
Oh my God, you're correct. You guys
That almost
are...
looks like Fessy a little bit.
Yeah, kind of weird. It's really weird. Grant,
these are
maybe?
all so funny to me.
Grant, and I don't know who else. This is a strange one.
Is this all people that are still in the game?
Yes, all people still in the game. Yes.
Oh, Danny?
Yes, it is Grant and
Oh.
Danny.
Let's go. Let's go.
Next up.
Ooh, jeez. Why do I feel like that dimple reminds me still of Jody, but I don't know if it's Jody though. Like it's weird. This one's weirding me out, Chantel.
Is it Kellyanne and Kaz?
Wait, now I'm forgetting. Hold on. It's definitely Kaz.
Kaz, okay.
Hold on. Is this? Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Joanne's got it.
It's harder though. It's harder than that. It's a little bit less. Oh wait, no, wait. Is it? Who is it?
Oh, is it Zara and Kellyanne?
No, I think it's actually. I think I used Jody twice. I think you.
Yeah, I
had it
thought it's
before, so
Jody. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's Jody and Kaz.
It's that little dimple in her cheek.
Sorry, I didn't write them down. I just like.
I'll be
made
over
them.
at your channel soon, Russell.
Coming, you're coming. Okay.
This is Tristan and someone else, but I don't know who the second person is. The second one keeps getting me.
I have no
I
clue.
mainly just see. I can mainly just see Tristan in that. Did you just take
Yeah.
Tristan's photo and put it up there?
It's with somebody. It's a female.
Amber, Tristan and Amber.
No, it's Tristan and Sarah.
Sarah. There's not even 5% of Sarah in there.
The eyes.
Sarah's got blue eyes.
Well, I think it's the combo of them.
Right.
What's this one?
Wes,
How's the
obviously, and
beard in
Ben.
HD?
Wes and Ben. It's Wes and Ben. It's the double beard. It's the double beard power.
Oh, that's why.
There's too much epicness there, Angel Cake. Kiki and Justine.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
That was
go.
Great job.
Oh my god. Okay.
Tori and someone. Geez, who's the second person? Is it Zara? Tori and Zara?
No. It's either Kellyanne or it's gonna be Kiki. Or Emily.
It's Emily. It is Emily and Tori.
Oh, Emily and Tori. All right. Yeah, that's a strange combo. But does this look like CT a little bit? This is
gosh.
Casey. This is Casey and someone. Casey
Bananas.
and Bananas? Really?
Yeah, I could see the gray beard.
Oh my god, this is too funny.
Chantal is
the gray
enjoying this a
beard.
little bit too much.
It's so funny.
This
though.
one looks like Fessy as well, eh?
Is this
This is Tristan and someone.
Darrell?
Yes, it is Tristan and
Here we go.
Darrell.
That goatee is getting me. That 5 o'clock goatee.
All right, Zara and geez, who's the second person? Is it Amber? I feel
It
like we
is
haven't done
Amber.
it. Zara and Amber.
Good
Yeah, there we
job.
go.
Crushing it. I think that's it.
I think it's
All
my
right,
last
that's
one. Okay,
All
you
right.
guys did great. Thank you for indulging in my something
All right.
make me really
Just
laugh.
enough time for you to tell us, Chantel, where can people find you? What are you doing?
Hang out with me on Reality Realness with 3 S's on Wednesdays, usually sometime in the evening because it drops on Paramount Plus. We kind of bounce around our schedule, but we'll do a recap on Wednesday sometime for the challenge Global. I hang out with Drew usually on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We should be back at our regular time slot, which is right around now. And I've been doing Survivor, but I've been doing it kind of sporadically. So we'll see if I get back into it. And I'm going to probably bring in some new stuff because Australian Survivor's done. So I got a little bit more free time on my hands. So,
well, be careful to let me know that because I'll probably pull you in on a Survivor recap at some point. I've had Drew on already, so we'll pull you in at some stage. You'll see Chantal back on the channel. But go check out Reality Realness. Go check out the Nullified Take, Angelcake vids. Make sure to subscribe to all 3 of those channels. Please show your love and support. That is the best way for us to continue to do what we do, and it's absolutely free. If you're a big Survivor fan, head over to Russell Muscle TV's channel right now because I'm going to jump straight into another live stream where we're going to talk about, similar to this, what has been happening on Survivor to date. And we're going to have Survivor scholars and also Flynn Masters with us on that live stream as well. Keep an eye on the channel. There's plenty dropping. A lot of off-season content for Australian Survivor is about to hit as well. And I'm really excited. We may get some great exit interviews and things like that also coming up on the channel. But for now, guys, thank you so much for joining in and being a part of the conversation. We'll catch you guys next time.